So for a while now, I've been seeing posts about interview apps that exist. So I think Google came out with one a while back and someone was sharing it. And they looked interesting. And I really wanted to, for a while, build my own interview app using MicroApps. And I finally got around to it. And the reason in my head for building my own is that a lot of the apps out there, they seem to necessarily, I would assume, be fairly generic. If you're going to interview for every position ever, then you kind of necessarily have to be pretty generic. But I thought of scenarios where, what if I am an instructor that has students where I know kind of the jobs or the companies that they're going to be applying to after they're done with the program? Or what if I'm a leader of an organization and I have a promotion process and I know kind of what kinds of questions and what I'm looking for people as they move up the promotion ladder for whatever reason? What if I have specific information that I want to impart in a interview practice? So I wanted to build my own. So I put together this. It's an interview for a product manager. I've never been a product manager, but I looked up kind of specific feedback that someone might want to give a product manager, and I built this out. So it's 3 questions. Describe a product you've managed. The user responds. This response is fixed right now, just a placeholder. And I get feedback on specific things. So I want to look at the clarity of the response. I want them to describe their roles and responsibilities. And I want them to clearly communicate their outcomes. And then I score them on that based on a rubric on the back end. The second question is, how do you prioritize different product features? User will answer that one. And again, measuring this from specific or giving feedback based on specific criteria that I have said that I'm looking for. And then the third one, what's your approach to handling product feedback? The important thing is not the questions. The important thing is not this specific feedback. The important thing is that I can make one of these to have as many questions as I want with whatever feedback and whatever scoring I want. So let's take a look at how to build this now. So if this is your first time seeing this and you're unsure how to get started with this, if you haven't seen the 3-minute quick start, go to appsforeducation.ai. You can learn how to get some of these apps set up on your own. So I'm going to cover this by going over one question or one phase in detail, and the other 2 are basically a copy of that. Just change out the questions, change out the rubrics. So let's look at the first one. So first, we just need a field for the first question, which is describe a product that you have managed. So that's going to be a text area, a height of 200, and I put in this value just so that I don't have to retype this anytime I want to test this. If I had this launched into the wild, I would remove this value. And when I save that and rerun my application, what I get is the question, I get my placeholder text, and then nothing happens when I submit. It just kind of ends. So now let's get to the logic that goes with that. All right, so I'm going to paste in a fair amount of content here and explain what's happening. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm prompting the AI. So I'm prompting the AI, I'm saying the candidate answered the question, and I want you to provide feedback on these specific things. And this is where my instructor voice comes in. This is what I want you to give the student or the user feedback on. And then I give the AI their response just by pulling in the field label here. And then I do want to score this one. So I want to score this one according to the same criteria that I'm giving feedback, just spelled out now with scores. So clarity, role and responsibilities, and outcome communication. And I give a very low minimum score of 3. It's pretty easy to get 3 points here. So that's one question. The field, the prompt with what I want the AI to give feedback on, where I inject my instructor voice, and then a scoring rubric. That's essentially it. So now let's add the other questions. So I'll paste these in. Note the format's the same. We ask a question. We give feedback based on the instructor voice and we score it. The only thing is that in phase 4, what I asked the AI to do specifically, based on the conversation and the feedback you provided so far, please now prioritize 3 key areas that I should work on to improve my interview skills. Change that button label to get overall feedback. And now this is done. So when I run this now, I get my questions, gives me the feedback that I want. It scores that response. And if I get the required minimum score, we want quality answers before they're allowed to move on to the next phase. So playing with kind of the instructor input and the minimum score and the rubric is the important part of an interview app. So this works well. I think it fits these kind of use cases where I have very niche requirements. It's not going to replace a generic AI interview practice tool, but when there are niche requirements and I really want to inject that instructor voice, I might think about using something like this.